In the glittering halls of Ashbourne Manor, a gala turns deadly when diplomat Sir Harold Grayson is poisoned, clutching a coded note warning of a traitor selling secrets. Hercule Poirot, the master detective, unravels a web of deceit among the elite, Lady Evelyn's dangerous liaison, Victor Langley's hidden motives, and the shadowy Etienne Dubois. As bodies pile up and clues point to a mysterious woman named Marie, Poirot sets a trap to expose the betrayer in a thrilling race against time. Chapter 1. A Glittering Affair. The chandeliers of Ashbourne Manor glittered like a constellation trapped in crystal, casting prisms of light across the polished marble floors. The air was thick with the scent of tuberose and champagne, and the murmur of high society filled the grand ballroom. Hercule Poirot, immaculate in his tailored black tuxedo, stood near a gilded column, his sharp eyes scanning the crowd. His mustache, perfectly waxed, twitched slightly as he observed the swirling kaleidoscope of London's elite. Lords and ladies, diplomats and dilettantes, all draped in silks and secrets. The gala, hosted by Lord Reginald Ashbourne, was the event of the season. Invitations were coveted, fought over in drawing rooms, and whispered about in private clubs. Poirot had secured his through a discreet favor for a cabinet minister, though he cared little for such ostentatious displays. He was here for a purpose, one that had yet to fully reveal itself. A vague letter from an old acquaintance, Sir Harold Grayson, had hinted at unease, a matter of utmost delicacy, as the diplomat had put it. Poirot's curiosity, like a hound catching a scent, had led him here. He sipped his champagne, the bubbles sharp against his tongue, and adjusted his bow tie. The room was a theater, and the guests were actors playing roles they had perfected over years of privilege. Yet beneath the polished smiles and practiced laughter, Poirot sensed a current of tension. Like a violin string wound too tight, his little gray cells, as he fondly called them, were already at work, cataloging every glance, every gesture. To his left, Lady Evelyn Ashbourne, the hostess, floated through the crowd like a swan in her emerald green gown. Her auburn hair was swept into an elegant chignon, and her laughter rang out, bright but brittle. She was charming, poised, and utterly in command. Yet Poirot noted the way her eyes darted to the entrance, as if expecting an unwelcome arrival. Her husband, Lord Reginald, stood across the room, deep in conversation with a group of men in military dress. His broad shoulders and easy smile belied the faint crease of worry on his brow. Poirot wondered what burdens a man of such wealth and influence might carry. A young woman in a silver gown caught his attention next. Clara Beaumont, heiress to a shipping fortune, moved with a quiet grace that contrasted with the room's exuberance. Her dark eyes held a flicker of something, sorrow perhaps, or caution. She lingered near a window, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass as she stared into the night. Poirot made a mental note. She was an outsider here, despite her wealth, and outsiders often saw what others missed. Then there was Victor Langley, a businessman whose star had risen swiftly in London's financial circles. His blonde hair gleamed under the chandelier light, and his easy charm drew a small crowd of admirers. He laughed too loudly, Poirot thought, and his eyes lingered too long on those he spoke to, as if weighing their worth. Langley's reputation was one of ambition, perhaps ruthlessness. Poirot's instincts prickled. Ambition unchecked was a dangerous thing. The orchestra struck up a waltz and the floor filled with couples gliding in perfect rhythm. Poirot declined an invitation to dance from a dowager with a peacock feather fan, offering a polite bow instead. He preferred to observe, to let the scene unfold like a tapestry he could unravel thread by thread. His gaze returned to Sir Harold Grayson, the man who had summoned him. The diplomat stood near the fireplace, his lean frame slightly stooped, his face pale despite the room's warmth. He was speaking to a young man Poirot didn't recognize, a nervous-looking fellow with a thin mustache and darting eyes. Poirot moved closer, weaving through the crowd with the ease of a man accustomed to navigating complex terrains. He caught fragments of their conversation, hushed but urgent. "Cannot be ignored, Grayson," the young man was saying. "The documents, Lower your voice, Philip, Sir Harold snapped, his hand tightening on his glass. Not here. Poirot's ears pricked. Documents. A word that carried weight, especially in the mouth of a diplomat known for handling sensitive intelligence. He filed it away, his mind already turning over possibilities. Was this the delicacy Sir Harold had mentioned? A matter of state, perhaps, or something more personal? Before he could eavesdrop further, a commotion at the entrance drew his attention. A late arrival, announced with a flourish by the butler. Monsieur Etienne Dubois. Heads turned as a tall, impeccably dressed man with a hawkish face entered. His presence was magnetic, his dark eyes sweeping the room with a predator's confidence. Poirot's mustache twitched again. Dubois was a French financier with a reputation for discretion and for meddling in affairs that crossed borders. His arrival was no coincidence, Poirot was certain. Lady Evelyn hurried to greet Dubois, her smile radiant, but her posture tense. Poirot watched their exchange, noting the way Dubois' hand lingered on hers, the way her laughter faltered for a fraction of a second. There was history there, he thought, and not the pleasant kind. As the evening wore on, Poirot circulated, exchanging pleasantries while gathering fragments of information. He learned that Lord Reginald was embroiled in a contentious trade deal with foreign partners, that Lady Evelyn had recently returned from a mysterious trip to Paris, and that Clara Beaumont had been seen in the company of a known political agitator. Victor Langley, meanwhile, seemed to know everyone, his laughter echoing from every corner of the room. The clock struck 11, and the mood shifted subtly. The champagne flowed less freely, the smiles grew strained. Poirot felt it, the moment, when a party teeters on the edge of unraveling, when masks slip and truths emerge. He was about to approach Sir Harold again when a scream pierced the air. The music stopped abruptly, the violins screeching to a halt. Guests froze, their faces a mixture of shock and curiosity. The scream had come from the direction of the library, a secluded wing of the manor. Poirot moved swiftly, his small frame cutting through the crowd with surprising agility. Lord Reginald was already striding toward the sound, his face pale, with Lady Evelyn close behind. Poirot reached the library. First, the heavy oak door was ajar, and a faint light spilled from within. He pushed it open and stepped inside, his eyes adjusting to the dim glow of a single lamp. The room was lined with bookshelves, their leather-bound volumes exuding the musty scent of old knowledge. A fire crackled faintly in the hearth, casting shadows that danced across the walls. And there, slumped in an armchair by the fire, was Sir Harold Grayson, his head lolled to one side, his eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. A piece of paper was clutched in his lifeless hand, its edges crumpled. Poirot knelt beside him, his gloved fingers gently probing. No pulse. The man was dead. The room filled, with gasps as other guests crowded the doorway. Lady Evelyn clutched her husband's arm, her face a mask of horror. Clara Beaumont stood frozen, her silver gown shimmering in the firelight. Victor Langley pushed forward, his expression one of calculated concern. Etienne Dubois lingered at the back, his dark eyes unreadable. "Do not touch anything, s'il vous plaît," Poirot said sharply, his voice cutting through the murmurs. He straightened, his gaze sweeping the room. The paper in Sir Harold's hand caught his attention, a small folded note, its edges stained with ink. He carefully extracted it, unfolding it with the precision of a surgeon. The writing was a jumble of numbers and letters, a code that meant nothing to the untrained eye. To Poirot, it was a challenge. "Murder," he murmured, almost to himself. The word sent a ripple through the onlookers. Lord Reginald stepped forward, his voice trembling. "Murder? Are you certain, Monsieur Poirot?" "Mais oui," Poirot replied, his tone calm but firm. The mark on his neck, subtle but unmistakable, a poison, administered with great care. This was no accident. The room erupted in whispers. "Lady," Evelyn pressed a hand to her mouth while Clara turned away, her shoulders shaking. Victor Langley's eyes narrowed, and Dubois remained impassive, his fingers drumming lightly on the doorframe. Poirot's mind raced. The coded note, the diplomat's death, the undercurrent of secrets in this glittering manor. It was a puzzle, and he was determined to solve it. He turned to the butler, who hovered nervously nearby. "Summon the police and ensure no one leaves this house," he instructed. "We have a murderer among us." As the guests dispersed, their faces pale with shock, Poirot stood alone in the library, the note still in his hand. The chandeliers still glittered, the music would soon resume, but the illusion of elegance had shattered. Somewhere in this house a traitor lurked, and Hercule Poirot would not rest until they were unmasked. He folded the note carefully and slipped it into his pocket. The game, as he often called it, had begun. The library was silent. Now, save for the crackle of the fire, Poirot's eyes lingered on the scene, committing every detail to memory: the position of the body, the angle of the lamp, the faint scuff on the rug near the armchair. He knew the truth lay in the details, the small inconsistencies that others overlooked. His mind was already tracing the threads of motive and opportunity, weaving them into a tapestry that would, in time, reveal the killer. Lord Reginald re-entered, his face drawn. "Monsieur Poirot, the police are on their way. What can I do?" "Ensure the guests remain calm," Poirot replied. "And tell me, Lord Ashbourne, who was Sir Harold speaking to before he came to the library?" Lord Reginald hesitated, his eyes flickering. I'm not certain. He was mingling, as we all were. Perhaps Victor Langley, or Yo. Chapter 2. The Whisper of Treason. The dawn light filtered through the heavy velvet curtains of Ashbourne Manor, casting a pale glow over the library where Sir Harold Grayson's body still lay, now covered with a sheet. Hercule Poirot stood near the fireplace, his gloved hands clasped behind his back, his eyes fixed on the scene with the intensity of a painter studying a canvas. The air was stale, tinged with the faint metallic scent of blood and the lingering bitterness of poison. Inspector Japp bustled about, directing his men to photograph the room and collect evidence, but Poirot remained still, his mind a whirlwind of deduction. The coded note, safely tucked in his pocket, weighed heavily on his thoughts. Its cryptic symbols, numbers interspersed with letters in a seemingly random sequence, had resisted his initial attempts at deciphering during the night. Yet Poirot was undeterred. A puzzle, no matter how complex, was merely a matter of patience and precision, qualities he possessed in abundance. The note was the key to Sir Harold's death, he was certain, and its message would point to the traitor who had orchestrated this crime. Japp approached, his notebook in hand, his face creased with fatigue. "Morning, Poirot," he said, rubbing his eyes. "You've been here all night, haven't you? Any theories yet?" Poirot's mustache twitched. "Theories, Inspector, are like stars in the daytime, present but not yet visible. I have observations, however. The mark on Sir Harold's neck suggests a poison delivered by injection, swift and silent. The killer was bold to strike in a house full of guests." Japp nodded, jotting down notes. "We've sent the body for autopsy. Should know more about the poison soon. What about that paper you found? Any luck with it?" "Not yet," Poirot admitted, his tone measured. "But it is no ordinary note. It is a cipher, and ciphers, mon ami, are the language of secrets. Sir Harold was a diplomat, a man who dealt in the currency of information. This note, I believe, concerns a matter of great consequence." Japp raised an eyebrow. "You think this is more than a personal grudge? Something political?" Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Perhaps, or perhaps it is both. In high society, Inspector, the personal and the political are often entwined like vines in a garden. One must cut carefully to see the truth." Japp grunted, accustomed to Poirot's cryptic musings. "Well, I've got my hands full with this lot. The guests are restless, and Lord Ashbourne's already complaining about the inconvenience. You planning to question anyone today?" "Mais oui," Poirot replied. "The guests are the pieces of this puzzle, and I must examine each one closely. But first I wish to see the room where Sir Harold was staying. There may be clues there, overlooked in the chaos." Japp nodded. "Fair enough. I'll have one of my men show you up. Just don't go stirring up too much trouble, Poirot." Poirot smiled faintly. Trouble, Inspector, is not my aim. Truth is, the manor's upper floors were a labyrinth of opulent corridors, lined with portraits of stern-faced Ashbourne ancestors. A young constable led Poirot to Sir Harold's guest suite, a spacious room overlooking the estate's manicured gardens. The bed was neatly made, the wardrobe filled with tailored suits, and a leather briefcase sat on a mahogany desk. Poirot dismissed the constable with a nod and began his inspection. The room was orderly, almost too perfect, as if Sir Harold had anticipated scrutiny. Poirot moved methodically, his gloved fingers probing for anything out of place. The briefcase was locked, but a small hairpin from his pocket, kept for such occasions, made short work of the clasp. Inside were diplomatic papers, mostly routine correspondence, but one document caught his eye. A memo referencing a sensitive operation involving foreign trade routes. The language was vague, but Poirot's instincts prickled. Trade routes were often a cover for espionage, a fact he knew from his own wartime experience. He set the memo aside and examined the desk drawers. In the bottom one, hidden beneath a stack of stationery, was a small photograph. It showed Sir Harold with a woman, her face partially obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. They stood on a balcony overlooking a city. Paris, Poirot guessed, from the architecture. The woman's posture was intimate, her hand resting on Sir Harold's arm. Poirot slipped the photograph into his pocket, his mind turning over possibilities. A lover? A conspirator? Or both? Next, he inspected the wardrobe, running, his hands along the seams of Sir Harold's coats. In the pocket of a wool overcoat, he found a crumpled train ticket, dated 2 weeks prior, for a journey from London to Dover. Dover, the gateway to the continent. Had Sir Harold been meeting someone across the Channel? Poirot tucked the ticket away, another piece of the puzzle. As he finished his search, a soft knock sounded at the door. Poirot opened it to find Clara Beaumont, her silver gown replaced by a simple navy dress, her face pale but composed. "Monsieur Poirot," she said, her voice low. "I hope I'm not intruding. I couldn't sleep and I saw you come upstairs." Poirot gestured for her to enter. "You are not intruding, mademoiselle. In fact, your presence is most welcome. You have something to tell me, no?" Clara hesitated, her fingers twisting the hem of her sleeve. "It's about last night, what I told you about seeing Sir Harold in the garden. I remembered something else. The person he was with. They were smoking a cigarette. I saw the glow of it in the dark." Poirot's eyes narrowed. "A cigarette, you say? This is most interesting. Did you notice anything else? The scent, perhaps, or the way they held it?" Clara shook her head. "I was too far away. But it was strange, Monsieur Poirot. Sir Harold seemed so agitated, and the other person, they were calm, almost mocking. I don't know why it stuck with me." Poirot nodded, his mind cataloging the detail. "You have done well to tell me, mademoiselle. Such observations, however small, are like breadcrumbs leading to the truth. Tell me, did you know Sir Harold well?" "Not really," Clara admitted. "We met a few times at social events. He was kind, but distant, like he was always watching, weighing his words. I suppose that's what diplomats do." "Indeed," Poirot said softly, "and yet even the most cautious men have enemies. Thank you, mademoiselle. If you remember anything else, you will come to me, oui?" Clara nodded and left, her footsteps echoing in the corridor. Poirot stood alone, his thoughts racing. Cigarette in the garden, a coded note, a photograph of an unknown woman. The threads were multiplying, but they had yet to form a pattern. Downstairs, the manor was stirring. Servants moved quietly, preparing breakfast, while the guests gathered in the dining room under the watchful eyes of Japp's men. Poirot descended the grand staircase, his polished shoes clicking on the marble. The atmosphere was tense, the air thick with unspoken accusations. He entered the dining room, where a long table was set with silver and porcelain, though few seemed to have an appetite. Lady Evelyn sat at the head, her auburn hair pinned tightly, her face a mask of composure. Lord Reginald was beside her, his hands fidgeting with a napkin. Victor Langley lounged at the far end, his blonde hair gleaming, a faint smile playing on his lips. Etienne Dubois was absent, Poirot noted, though Clara Beaumont sat quietly, her eyes fixed on her untouched plate. Poirot took a seat, declining the offer of coffee with a polite wave. He observed the room, noting the strained silence. Lady Evelyn broke it, her voice bright but forced. "Monsieur Poirot, I trust you slept. Well, despite everything? Sleep, madame, is a luxury I seldom indulge when there is work to be done," Poirot replied. "And there is much work here, is there not?" Lord Reginald cleared his throat. "We're all shaken, Monsieur Poirot. Sir Harold was a friend. To think someone in this house—" He trailed off, his eyes darting to the other guests. "Victor," Langley leaned forward, his tone smooth. "Come now, Reginald, let's not be dramatic. People die, even important ones. Perhaps Sir Harold had a heart attack or an allergic reaction. No need to assume murder." Poirot's gaze sharpened. "An interesting theory, Monsieur Langley. But the mark on Sir Harold's neck suggests otherwise. A poison, administered with precision. This was no accident." A murmur rippled through the room. Clara's hand tightened on her fork while Lady Evelyn's smile faltered. Lord Reginald's face paled and Victor's eyes narrowed, though his smile remained. "Poison?" Lady Evelyn said, her voice barely above a whisper. "How dreadful. Who would do such a thing?" "That, madame, is what I intend to discover," Poirot said. "But I will need your cooperation. Each of you was here last night. Each of you saw something, heard something. I ask you to think carefully, to share what you know." The room fell silent again, the weight of Poirot's words settling over them. He watched their faces, searching for the flicker of guilt, the hint of fear. Someone here was lying. He was certain. The traitor was close, hidden behind a mask of civility. After breakfast, Poirot requested a private audience with Lord Reginald in the study. The room was smaller than the library, its walls lined with hunting trophies and maps of the British Empire. Lord Reginald sat behind a heavy oak desk, his hands clasped tightly. "Monsieur Poirot," he began, "I want to help. This tragedy has shaken us all. What do you need from me?" Poirot sat opposite, his posture impeccable. "The truth, Lord Ashbourne. You spoke briefly with Sir Harold last night, oui? About trade negotiations, you said. Yet I sense there was more. Tell me, what was the nature of your discussion?" Reginald shifted uncomfortably. "It was nothing unusual. Sir Harold was advising me on a..." Chapter 3. The Masked Motives. The morning sun cast long shadows across the parquet floors of Ashbourne Manor, its golden rays doing little to dispel the chill that had settled over the house. Hercule Poirot stood in the drawing room, a cup of black coffee in hand, its bitter aroma grounding him amidst the chaos of suspicion. The room was elegant, with high ceilings and walls adorned with pastoral paintings, but the atmosphere was anything but serene. The guests, confined to the manor, under Inspector Japp's orders, moved like actors in a play, their every gesture scrutinized by Poirot's keen eyes. Sir Harold Grayson's murder had cracked the veneer of high society, and beneath it, Poirot sensed a tangle of motives, greed, betrayal, ambition, all masked by polished smiles. Poirot's task today was clear: to probe the key suspects, to peel back their facades and uncover the truths they hid. The coded note, still undeciphered despite his late-night efforts, burned in his pocket, a constant reminder of the traitor lurking among them. The cigarette butt from the garden, the photograph of the mysterious woman, the train ticket to Dover. These were fragments of a larger picture, and Poirot was determined to assemble them. But first he needed to understand the players in this deadly game. He had requested private interviews with 3 individuals who stood out in the web of intrigue: Lady Evelyn Ashbourne, the poised but nervous hostess; Victor Langley, the charismatic businessman with a predator's charm; and Clara Beaumont, the enigmatic heiress whose quiet demeanor belied a sharp mind. Each held a piece of the puzzle, and Poirot intended to extract it with the precision of a surgeon. Poirot began with Lady Evelyn, meeting her in the morning room, a sunlit space filled with delicate porcelain and vases of fresh roses. She sat on a velvet chaise, her auburn hair swept into a tight bun, her emerald eyes meeting his with a mixture of courtesy and wariness. Her navy silk dress was impeccable, but Poirot noted the slight tremor in her hands as she poured tea. "Monsieur." "Poirot," she said, her voice smooth but strained. "This is a dreadful business. Poor Sir Harold. I can scarcely believe it happened under our roof." Poirot inclined his head, accepting a cup of tea he had no intention of drinking. "It is indeed a tragedy, madame, but I am certain you wish to see justice done. May I ask, when did you last see Sir Harold last night?" Lady Evelyn's fingers tightened on her saucer. "Oh, let me think. It was during the dancing, I believe. He was near the fireplace speaking with that young aide of his. Philip, I think his name is. I didn't pay much attention. I was hosting, you see, and there were so many guests." Poirot's eyes narrowed slightly. "And you did not see him leave the ballroom or perhaps speak with anyone else? Monsieur Dubois, for instance?" Her eyes flickered, a fleeting shadow crossing her face. "Etienne? No, I don't believe so. I spoke with him myself later in the evening, but Sir Harold wasn't with us. Why do you mention Etienne?" "A small matter," Poirot said, his tone light. "I am merely tracing Sir Harold's movements. Tell me, madame, you have known Sir Harold for some time, oui? Was he troubled in recent weeks? Did he confide in you?" Lady Evelyn set her cup down, her movements deliberate. "We were acquaintances, nothing more. He was a diplomat, always so reserved. If he was troubled, he didn't share it with me, but—" She hesitated, her gaze dropping to her hands. "But?" Poirot prompted, leaning forward slightly. She sighed. "He did seem distracted last night. Not himself. I thought it was the pressure of his work. Diplomacy is such a demanding field. But now, with what's happened—" Her voice trailed off and she looked away, her expression unreadable. Poirot studied her, noting the careful phrasing, the way her eyes avoided his. She was holding something back, he was certain. Was it fear or guilt? "One final question, madame," he said. "Your trip to Paris last month, was it for pleasure or business?" Lady Evelyn's head snapped up, her composure slipping for a moment. "Paris? How did you—" "It was a personal matter, Monsieur Poirot. A visit to friends. Nothing to do with this." Poirot smiled faintly. "Of course, madame. I thank you for your time." As he rose to leave, he caught a glimpse of her reflection in a nearby mirror. Her face was pale, her lips pressed into a thin line. Lady Evelyn was a woman under pressure, and Poirot intended to find out why. Next, Poirot met Victor Langley in the billiard room, a masculine space with dark wood paneling and a faint haze of cigar smoke. Langley leaned against the billiard table, a glass of brandy in hand despite the early hour, his blonde hair catching the light from a nearby window. His tailored suit was flawless, his smile as sharp as a blade. Poirot disliked him instinctively, not for his charm but for the calculation behind it. "Monsieur Poirot," Langley said, his tone warm but tinged with amusement. "The great detective himself. I suppose you're here to grill me about poor old Grayson." Poirot sat in a leather armchair, his posture impeccable. "Grill, Monsieur Langley? No, I merely seek the truth. You were at the gala last night, oui? Did you speak with Sir Harold?" Langley took a sip of brandy, his eyes never leaving Poirot's. "Briefly. He was droning on about trade tariffs or some such nonsense, dull stuff. I excused myself as soon as I could." "And where did you go after this conversation?" Poirot asked. Langley shrugged. "Back to the ballroom. Danced with a few ladies, had a few drinks, the usual. You don't think I had anything to do with this, do you? I'm a businessman, not a murderer." Poirot's mustache twitched. "What one does, monsieur, is not always what one is. Tell me, what is your business with Lord Ashbourne? I understand. You are involved in his trade ventures." Langley's smile faltered, but only for a moment. "Reginald's an old friend. We're exploring some opportunities in shipping, nothing out of the ordinary. Why do you ask?" A matter of context, Poirot said smoothly. Sir Harold was advising Lord Ashbourne on trade matters. Perhaps you discussed this with him? Not really, Langley said, his tone casual. Grayson was more of a bureaucrat. My dealings are with men who make things happen, not push paper. Poirot nodded, his eyes sharp. And last night, did you notice anything unusual? An argument, perhaps, or someone behaving strangely? Langley swirled his brandy, his expression thoughtful. Can't say I did. Everyone was in high spirits, until the scream, of course. Shocking business. But if you're looking for suspects, I'd start with that Frenchman, Dubois. Shady character, always lurking. Poirot's smile was polite but cold. I thank you, Monsieur Langley. Your observations are most illuminating. As he left the billiard room, Poirot's mind churned. Langley was deflecting, pointing fingers to divert attention. His alibi was vague, his demeanor too confident. And his mention of Dubois, calculated or a genuine suspicion. Poirot would need to dig deeper. Poirot found Clara Beaumont in the A conservatory, a glass-walled haven filled with exotic plants and the soft trickle of a fountain. She sat on a wrought iron bench, her navy dress blending with the shadows, her dark eyes fixed on a blooming orchid. She looked up as Poirot approached, her expression a mix of relief and apprehension. Monsieur Poirot, she said, rising, I was hoping to see you. This house, it feels like a cage. Poirot gestured for her to sit, taking a seat beside her. A cage, mademoiselle? Or a stage where each plays a role? Tell me, what role did you play last night? Clara's lips parted, then closed. I don't know what you mean. I was just a guest like the others. I danced, I spoke with a few people. I didn't know Sir Harold well. And yet, Poirot said gently, you saw him in the garden, arguing with someone. You remembered the cigarette? A detail most would overlook. You have a sharp eye, mademoiselle. Did you see anything else last night? Perhaps in the ballroom, or near the library? Clara's fingers twisted in her lap. I don't know. It's all a blur. But there was something. When I passed the library earlier in the evening, I heard voices. They were low, angry. I didn't stay to listen. It felt wrong to eavesdrop. Poirot leaned forward, his voice soft but insistent. Voices, mademoiselle. Can you recall anything they said? A word, a phrase? Clara closed her eyes, her brow furrowing. I heard the word documents and something about a deadline. I'm sorry, it was so faint. Poirot's heart quickened. Documents. The same word he'd overheard Sir Harold say to Philip Weston. This is most helpful, mademoiselle. And these voices, did you recognize them? Clara shook her head. No. They were muffled and I was too far away. I wish I could tell you more. Poirot patted her hand reassuringly. You have told me much, mademoiselle. One last question. You are an heiress, oui? Your wealth comes from shipping, a business tied to trade. Did you ever discuss such matters with Sir Harold or Lord Ashbourne? Clara's eyes widened. No, never. My father's company is managed by trustees. I have little to do with it. Why do you ask? Poirot smiled. To understand, mademoiselle. Knowledge is the light that reveals the truth. Thank you. As Clara left, Poirot remained in the conservatory, his mind racing. Her mention of documents connected to the memo in Sir Harold's briefcase and the cigarette in the garden pointed to a specific individual, or a deliberate misdirection. Clara was observant, but her fear was genuine. Was she a witness or something more? The interviews complete, Poirot retired to the library, now cleared of Sir Harold's body but still cordoned off by police tape. He stood by the fireplace, his eyes tracing the room's details, the scuffed rug, the half-empty decanter, the gap in the bookshelf. Each clue was a Chapter 4. The cipher's clue. The clock in Hercule Poirot's guest suite ticked softly, its rhythm a counterpoint to the relentless churn of his thoughts. It was early afternoon, the third day since Sir Harold Grayson's murder, and Ashbourne Manor remained a cauldron of tension. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating the coded note spread across the desk before Poirot. Its cryptic sequence of numbers and letters, 3B7K, 9F2M, 1Q8P, and so on, had resisted his efforts for hours. But now, a faint pattern was emerging. His little gray cells hummed with anticipation, sensing that the cipher held the key to unmasking the traitor lurking among the manor's elite. Poirot's fountain pen hovered over a sheet of paper covered with grids and scribbled hypotheses. He had tried multiple ciphers, Visionaire, Playfair, even a transposition method, but none had unlocked the note's secrets. The breakthrough came when he considered Sir Harold's profession. As a diplomat, the man would have used a code tied to his world, something personal yet secure. Poirot's eyes narrowed as he recalled the memo from Sir Harold's briefcase mentioning sensitive operations and trade routes. A keyword perhaps linked to his work. He wrote the word diplomat at the top of a fresh grid, aligning it with the cipher's first sequence. Using a Visionaire square, he began decoding, substituting each letter and number with care. The numbers, he hypothesized, represented shifts in the alphabet, while the letters were part of the message. After several minutes, a word emerged. Traitor. Poirot's mustache twitched. The note was beginning to speak. He continued, his pen moving with precision. The decoded message was fragmented but chilling. Traitor in circle, secrets sold, meet Dover. Poirot leaned back, his heart quickening. The note confirmed Sir Harold's fears shared by his aide Philip Weston. A traitor was leaking government secrets, and Sir Harold had arranged a meeting in Dover, likely to confront or expose them. The train ticket in his coat pocket now made sense. But who was the traitor, and why had Sir Harold been silenced before he could act? Poirot folded the note and slipped it into his pocket, alongside the photograph of the unknown woman and the gold-tipped cigarette butt. The cipher's clue was a beacon, guiding him through the fog of deception. He needed to speak with the suspects again, to probe their connections to Sir Harold's world of diplomacy and trade. Lady Evelyn Ashbourne, Victor Langley, and Clara. Beaumont remained his focus, but Etienne Dubois' shadowy presence and Lord Reginald's unease could not be ignored. He rose, adjusting his tie, and headed downstairs. The manor was quieter today, the guests confined to common areas under Inspector Japp's orders. Poirot found Japp in the drawing room, reviewing reports with a weary expression. "Poirot," Japp said, looking up. "You've got that look in your eye. Cracked something, have you?" Poirot smiled faintly. "A small crack, Inspector, but enough to let in light. The note in Sir Harold's hand, it is a cipher, and I have begun to decode it. It speaks of a traitor selling secrets and a meeting in Dover." Japp's eyes widened. "Dover? That's a smuggling hub and a stone's throw from France. You think Sir Harold was mixed up in espionage?" "Not mixed up, mon ami," Poirot said. "He was hunting the traitor, and someone ensured he did not succeed." Japp rubbed his chin. "We've got the decanter results back. Traces of the same poison that killed Sir Harold. Something exotic, not easy to come by. Whoever did this had connections, maybe overseas." Poirot nodded. "This is most helpful. I must speak with the guests again to see who might have such connections. And the man in the dark coat, any sign of him?" Japp shook his head. "Nothing yet. We've searched the grounds, but it's like he vanished. Could be long gone. Or hiding in plain sight," Poirot murmured. "Merci, Inspector. I will keep you informed." Poirot's first stop was the morning room, where Lady Evelyn was writing letters at a small desk. Her cream silk dress had been replaced by a somber gray one, but her elegance was undiminished. She looked up as Poirot entered, her smile polite but strained. "Monsieur Poirot," she said, setting down her pen. "You're tireless, aren't you? What can I do for you today?" Poirot bowed slightly and sat opposite her. "Madame, I wish to speak of Sir Harold's work. He was a diplomat, involved in sensitive matters of trade and politics. Did he ever confide in you about his concerns? A threat, perhaps, or a suspicion?" Lady Evelyn's eyes flickered, but she maintained her composure. "He was discreet, as you'd expect. We spoke of general things, art, travel, society. He never mentioned anything dangerous. Poirot tilted his head. And yet, madame, you traveled to Paris recently, oui? A city where secrets are traded as freely as wine. Did you meet anyone there who might have known Sir Harold's business? Her hand tightened on the desk, almost imperceptibly. Paris was a personal trip, Monsieur Poirot. I visited friends, attended a few salons, nothing more. And Monsieur Dubois? Poirot pressed. He is French, a man of influence. Did you see him in Paris? Lady Evelyn's cheeks flushed. Etienne. No, we met briefly at an event, but it was nothing significant. Why do you keep asking about him? Poirot's smile was gentle but unrelenting. Because, madame, in a murder, every connection matters. Sir Harold was poisoned, his secret stolen. Someone close to him betrayed him. If you know anything, you must tell me. She looked away, her lips pressed into a thin line. I've told you all I know, Monsieur Poirot. Now please, I have letters to write. Poirot rose, bowing again. Merci, madame, but remember, the truth like a shadow cannot be hidden forever. As he left, he noted her unease. Lady Evelyn was guarding a secret, one tied to Paris or Dubois. Her reluctance to speak was a thread he would follow, but first he needed to confront Victor Langley. Langley was in the conservatory examining a rare orchid with feigned interest. His blonde hair gleamed in the sunlight and his smile was as charming as ever when he saw Poirot. Monsieur Poirot, he said, straightening, come to admire the flora, or is it my company you seek? Poirot's expression was polite but firm. Your company, Monsieur Langley, and your candor. I have learned that Sir Harold was investigating a traitor, someone selling government secrets. You argued with him last night near the terrace. What was the nature of your disagreement? Langley's smile didn't falter, but his eyes grew wary. An argument? Hardly. We had a spirited discussion about investments. Sir Harold was cautious, I was optimistic. Nothing sinister, I assure you. Poirot's eyes narrowed. And yet, monsieur, witnesses say he was angry. Tell me, do you have interests in foreign trade? Connections, perhaps, that might involve sensitive information? Langley laughed, a touch too loudly. You're reaching, Monsieur Poirot. I'm a businessman, not a spy. My interests are profit, not politics. And profit, Poirot said softly, can be a powerful motive. Did you ever travel with Sir Harold? To Dover, perhaps? Langley's smile faded slightly. Dover? No, never. Why do you ask? A small matter, Poirot said, waving a hand. One last question. Do you know a woman who might have been close to Sir Harold? Someone he met in Paris, perhaps? Langley shrugged. Sir Harold was a private man. If he had a lady friend, he didn't share it with me. Poirot nodded, bowing slightly. Merci, monsieur. We will speak again. As he left the conservatory, Poirot's mind churned. Langley's denial was too quick, his charm a shield. The argument with Sir Harold, witnessed by Philip Weston, suggested a deeper conflict. Was Langley the traitor, profiting from stolen secrets? Or was he a decoy distracting from the true culprit? Clara Beaumont was next, found in the library, standing near the spot where Sir Harold had died. Her navy dress blended with the shadows, and her face was pale as she turned to Poirot. Mademoiselle, he said, bowing. You returned to the scene of the crime. Why? Clara hesitated, her fingers tracing the edge of a bookshelf. I don't know. I keep thinking. Maybe I missed something. Sir Harold was kind to me. I owe him the truth. Poirot's eyes softened, but his voice was firm. Then help me find it, mademoiselle. The note in Sir Harold's hand spoke of a traitor and a meeting in Dover. Did he ever mention Dover to you? Or a woman he knew in Paris? Clara's eyes widened. Dover? No, he never mentioned it. But Paris. He did talk about a trip there a few months ago. He said he met someone important, someone who changed his perspective. I thought he meant a colleague, but now... Poirot leaned forward. And this person, did he describe them? She shook her head. No, but he seemed wistful. Like it was personal, not just business. Poirot nodded, the photograph burning in his pocket. Merci, mademoiselle. You have been most helpful. If you recall anything else, you will come. To me, oui? She nodded and Poirot left her, his mind racing. The woman in the photograph was becoming central to the mystery. Was she the traitor, or a victim like Sir Harold? And what was the significance of Dover? The afternoon brought a new discovery. Poirot returned to Sir Harold's room, searching for anything he might have missed. In the wardrobe, hidden behind a false panel, he found a small notebook. Its pages were filled with Sir Harold's neat handwriting, detailing meetings with foreign contacts and cryptic references to a circle of trust. One entry stood out. VL suspects too much. Must be watched. VL. Victor Langley. Poirot pocketed the notebook, his heart pounding. The evidence was mounting, but it was still circumstantial. He needed more. Proof, not suspicion. He decided to inspect the grounds again, focusing on the stables where Clara had seen the... Chapter 5. Shadows of Doubt. The fourth day at Ashbourne Manor dawned gray and heavy, the sky a canvas of brooding clouds that mirrored the tension within its walls. Hercule Poirot stood by the tall windows of the morning room, his gloved hands clasped behind his back, his sharp eyes fixed on the mist-shrouded gardens. The murder of Sir Harold Grayson had cast a pall over the estate, and the discovery of a second body, an hour ago, had deepened the shadows of doubt that clung to every guest. Poirot's little gray cells were alight with questions. Each new clue a thread in the intricate tapestry of betrayal he was determined to unravel. The second victim was Philip Weston, Sir Harold's young aide, found slumped in the stables at dawn by a groom. His thin mustache was still, his nervous eyes now vacant, a syringe embedded in his arm. The scene had been eerily similar to Sir Harold's, a swift, silent death by poison delivered with chilling precision. Inspector Japp, already stretched, thin, had declared it the work of the same killer, and the manor was now under stricter lockdown. No one could leave, and the guests' unease had turned to barely concealed panic. Poirot's mind churned over the implications. Philip's death was no coincidence. The young man had known something, his trembling confession to Poirot about Sir Harold's fears of a traitor, his mention of an argument with Victor Langley, the sensitive documents locked in Sir Harold's briefcase. Had Philip been silenced to protect the traitor's identity? Or was he a pawn eliminated to muddy the waters? The coded note, now partially decoded to reveal traitor and circle, secrets sold meat Dover, burned in Poirot's pocket, alongside the photograph of the mysterious woman, the Dover train ticket, and the gold-tipped cigarette butts. Each was a piece of the puzzle, but the picture remained maddeningly incomplete. He turned from the window, adjusting his bow tie with a precise flick. Today he would intensify his interrogations, focusing on Lady Evelyn Ashbourne, Victor Langley, Clara Beaumont, and Etienne Dubois. Lord Reginald's reticence and the shadowy figure in the dark coat, seen by Clara and a maid, also demanded attention. The traitor was growing bolder, and Poirot knew he must act swiftly to prevent another death. Inspector Japp entered the morning room, his face haggard from lack of sleep. "Poirot," he said, rubbing his temples, "this is getting out of hand. 2 murders in 3 days and the press is howling outside the gates. Any progress on that cipher?" Poirot's mustache twitched. "The cipher has spoken, Inspector. It confirms Sir Harold's suspicion of a traitor selling secrets with a meeting planned in Dover. Philip Weston's death, I believe, is linked to what he knew. He was afraid, and his fear made him a target." Japp nodded grimly. "The syringe had traces of the same poison as Sir Harold's, something rare imported. We're testing it now, but it's not something you'd find in a chemist's shop. This killer's got resources." "Indeed," Poirot said. "And connections. The gold-tipped cigarettes I found, one in the garden, one near the stables, suggest a foreign influence. We must discover who smokes them, and why they were careless enough to leave them behind." Japp sighed. "I've got my men combing the grounds again, but this place is a maze. What's your plan?" "To peel back the masks," Poirot replied. "I will speak with the suspects, observe their reactions. The traitor is among them, and they will betray themselves if only by a glance or a word." Japp clapped him on the shoulder. "Good luck, Poirot. I'll handle the forensics and keep the guests from bolting. Let me know if you need anything. As Japp left, Poirot moved to the dining room, where the guests were gathered under the watchful eyes of 2 constables. The chandeliers glittered coldly, their light exposing the strain on every face. Lady Evelyn sat at the head, her gray dress, replaced by a deep burgundy one, her auburn hair tightly pinned. She was pale, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Victor Langley leaned against a wall, his blonde hair catching the light, his smile subdued but still present. Clara Beaumont sat near a window, her navy dress blending with the shadows, her eyes red-rimmed. Etienne Dubois was absent, but Lord Reginald stood by the fireplace, his broad shoulders slumped, his face etched with worry. Poirot approached Lady Evelyn first, bowing slightly. "Madame Ashbourne, a word in the study, s'il vous plaît." She nodded, rising with a grace that belied her tension. They moved to the study, its walls lined with hunting trophies and maps, and sat opposite each other at the oak desk. Poirot's eyes were gentle but piercing. "Madame," he began, "the tragedy has deepened with young Philip Weston's death. He was Sir Harold's aide, privy to his secrets. Did you know him well?" Lady Evelyn's fingers tightened on her handkerchief. "Not well, Monsieur Poirot. He was quiet, always in Sir Harold's shadow. I spoke to him only in passing. And yet," Poirot said, "he was murdered in the same manner as Sir Harold, poisoned, swift, and silent. Someone feared what he knew. Tell me, Madame, did you see Philip last night, after our conversation?" Her eyes flickered, but she held his gaze. "No, I retired early. The events of the gala were overwhelming." Poirot tilted his head. "And Monsieur Dubois? I noticed he was with you often last night. Did he mention Philip or Sir Harold's work?" Lady Evelyn's cheeks flushed. "Etienne? No, we spoke of trivial things, art, music. Why do you keep linking him to this?" "Because, Madame," Poirot said softly, "a man has been seen near the scenes of both crimes. A tall figure in a dark coat, smoking a foreign cigarette. Monsieur Dubois is tall, and he is French. You understand my curiosity, oui?" She stiffened, her voice sharp. "You're mistaken, Monsieur Poirot. Etienne is a gentleman, not a murderer. I won't hear such accusations." Poirot's smile was polite but unrelenting. "I accuse no one, madame. I seek only the truth. If you saw Philip or anyone suspicious, you must tell me. Another life may depend on it." She looked away, her lips pressed into a thin line. "I've told you all I know. Now please, I must see to my husband." Poirot rose, bowing. "Merci, madame. We will speak again." As she left, Poirot's mind churned. Lady Evelyn's defense of Dubois was fierce, almost protective. Was it loyalty or fear? Her reluctance to discuss Philip suggested she was hiding something, perhaps a connection to the traitor's circle. Next, Poirot sought Victor Langley, finding him in the billiard room idly rolling a cue ball across the table. Langley's charm was dimmed by the morning's news, but his smile was still in place as Poirot entered. "Monsieur Poirot," he said, straightening. "Another grim day, isn't it? I suppose you're here to grill me again?" Poirot's expression was calm but firm. "Grill? Non, Monsieur Langley. Question? Oui. Philip Weston is dead, killed in the same manner as Sir Harold. You argued with Sir Harold the night he died, and Philip saw you. What did he know that made him a target?" Langley's smile faltered, his eyes narrowing. "You're barking up the wrong tree, Poirot. I barely knew the lad. As for Sir Harold, our disagreement was business, nothing more. Investments, as I told you." Poirot leaned forward, his voice low. "And yet, Monsieur, Sir Harold's notebook mentions VL as someone to watch. You are Victor Langley, are you not? What did he suspect you of?" Langley's face hardened, but he recovered quickly, laughing. "A notebook? Sounds like a coincidence. Sir Harold was paranoid, seeing enemies everywhere. I'm a businessman, not a traitor." "Do you smoke, Monsieur Langley?" Poirot asked suddenly, producing the handkerchief with the cigarette butt. These were found near both crime scenes. Foreign, gold-tipped. Yours, perhaps? Langley's eyes flicked to the handkerchief, then back to Poirot. Not mine. I prefer cigars when I indulge. You're grasping at straws, Poirot. Poirot's mustache twitched. Straws, monsieur, can build a case. One last question. Have you been to Dover recently? Langley shrugged. Dover? No. Why would I? Smelly port town, full of sailors. Poirot nodded, bowing slightly. Merci, monsieur, we will see. As he left, Poirot's mind raced. Langley's denial was too smooth, his reaction to the cigarette butt too controlled. The notebook's mention of VL was damning but not conclusive. Was Langley the traitor, or a convenient suspect? Clara Beaumont was in the conservatory, surrounded by lush greenery, her face pale as she stared at the fountain. Poirot approached quietly, bowing. Mademoiselle Beaumont, he said, you are troubled and I do not blame you. Philip Weston's death is a shock. Did you know him? Clara looked up, her eyes glistening. A little. He was kind but nervous, always looking over his shoulder. I saw him last night near the stables. He was talking to someone, but I couldn't see who. Poirot's eyes sharpened. This is most important, mademoiselle. What time was this and what did you hear? It was late, after 11, she said. I couldn't sleep, so I walked in the garden. I heard voices, Philip's and another, deeper one. They were arguing, I think. I didn't stay long. I was afraid. Poirot nodded, his mind cataloging the detail. And this other person, did they smoke? Did you see a cigarette? Clara hesitated. I'm not sure. It was dark, but I smelled something, maybe tobacco. Poirot's heart quickened. Another sighting, another cigarette. Merci, mademoiselle. You have been brave to tell me this. If you remember anything else, you will come to me. Oui? She nodded, and Poirot left, his thoughts swirling. Clara's account placed Philip at the stables with an unknown figure, hours before his death. The deeper voice suggested a man, Langley, Dubois, or the mysterious stranger in the dark coat. Chapter 6. The Alibi Game. The fifth day at Ashbourne Manor was cloaked in a drizzle that tapped insistently against the tall windows, as if nature itself were urging Hercule Poirot to hasten his pursuit of the truth. The murders of Sir Harold. Grayson and Philip Weston had transformed the grand estate into a gilded cage, its opulent halls now echoing with suspicion and fear. Poirot stood in the library, where Sir Harold's body had been found, his gloved hands clasped behind his back, his sharp eyes tracing the contours of the room, the scuff on the rug, the decanter's faint bitter odor, the missing book from the shelf. All were silent witnesses to a crime that grew more complex with each passing hour. The coded note, now partially decoded to reveal, Traitor in Circle, Secrets Sold, Meet Dover, was a beacon in the fog of deception. Philip's death so soon after his confession about Sir Harold's fears confirmed Poirot's suspicion. The traitor was desperate to protect their secret, willing to kill again, to silence those who knew too much. The notebook fragment found in the stables, circle must be broken, and the gold-tipped cigarette butts pointed to a conspiracy rooted in high society, with threads leading to Paris, Dover, and the mysterious woman in the photograph. Yet, the suspects' motives remained elusive, their alibis a carefully constructed game that Poirot was determined to dismantle. His little gray cells buzzed with questions. Lady Evelyn Ashbourne's whispered meeting with Etienne Dubois, Victor Langley's name in Sir Harold's notebook, Clara Beaumont's sightings of shadowy figures, each was a piece of the puzzle, but the picture was still incomplete. Today, Poirot would test their alibis, probing for inconsistencies that might betray the traitor. The game was on, and he would play it with the precision of a master. Inspector Japp entered the library, his coat damp from the rain, his face etched with frustration. "Morning, Poirot," he said, shaking water from his hat. "This weather's not helping. We've got nothing new from the grounds and the guests are getting antsy. Any luck with those alibis?" Poirot's mustache twitched. The alibis, Inspector, are like a house of cards. Impressive at a glance, but fragile under scrutiny. I have spoken with Lady Evelyn, Langley, and Mademoiselle Beaumont, but their stories are too neat, too polished. Today, I will press harder, to see whose card falls first. Jap nodded, flipping open his notebook. We've got the poison confirmed. Both victims died from a synthetic toxin, rare and expensive. Only a handful of suppliers in Europe deal in it, mostly for medical research. Whoever's behind this has deep pockets and deeper connections. Précisément, Poirot said. And the cigarette butts, have you traced their origin? Working on it, Jap replied. They're a French brand, exclusive, sold in Paris and a few other cities. Not common here. Could point to Dubois, or someone with continental ties. Poirot's eyes gleamed. Most interesting. I will focus on the alibis, Inspector, but I ask you to check the guests' travel records. Paris, Dover. These places are key. The traitor has left a trail, and we must follow it. Jap grunted. I'll get on it. Watch yourself, Poirot. This killer's not playing games. Oh, but they are, mon ami, Poirot said softly. And I intend to win. Poirot began with Lady Evelyn, finding her in the morning room, arranging flowers with a precision that seemed more about control than aesthetics. Her burgundy dress was elegant, but her face was pale, her eyes shadowed by sleeplessness. She looked up as Poirot entered, her smile tight. Monsieur Poirot, she said, setting down a rose. You're relentless, aren't you? What now? Poirot bowed, sitting opposite her. Madame, I wish to clarify your movements the night Sir Harold died, and last night when Philip Weston was killed. You said you retired early both evenings, yet Lord Reginald saw you in the garden with Monsieur Dubois last night. Can you explain, lady? Evelyn's hand froze, a thorn pricking her finger. She winced, dabbing it with a handkerchief. Reginald must be mistaken. I was in my room after 10. The strain of these events, it affects us all. Poirot's eyes narrowed. And yet, madame, a maid also saw a woman in a dark dress in the garden near the time Philip died. Your dress last night was dark, was it not? Her cheeks flushed, but she held his gaze. Many women wear dark dresses, Monsieur Poirot. I was not in the garden. As for Etienne, we spoke briefly earlier in the evening about business. Nothing more. Poirot tilted his head. Business, madame. In Paris, perhaps? You traveled there recently, as did Sir Harold. Did you meet him there, or someone connected to his work? Lady Evelyn's lips parted, then closed. I've told you my trip was personal. I don't appreciate these insinuations. Poirot's smile was gentle but unyielding. Insinuations, no. Questions, oui. 2 men are dead, madame, and a traitor moves among us. If you were in the garden, or if you know what Dubois discussed with Sir Harold, you must tell me. She stood, her voice sharp. I've nothing more to say. Good day, Monsieur Poirot. As she swept out, Poirot leaned back, his mind racing. Lady Evelyn's alibi was crumbling, her meeting with Dubois a glaring inconsistency. Was she protecting him or herself? Her Paris trip loomed large, a possible link to the woman in the photograph. Next, Poirot sought Victor Langley, who was in the billiard room, practicing shots with a studied nonchalance. His blonde hair was impeccable, but his eyes were wary as Poirot entered. Monsieur Poirot, he said, lining up a shot. Back for another round? I'm starting to feel like a suspect. Poirot's expression was calm but firm. You are a suspect, Monsieur Langley, as are all here. Let us speak of your alibi. The night Sir Harold died, you said you were mingling, speaking with Lord Reginald and others. Yet no one recalls seeing you between 10 and 11 when Sir Harold was killed. Where were you? Langley's cue paused, his smile fading. Mingling, as I said. It was a crowded room, Poirot. People don't notice everything. And last night, Poirot pressed. Philip Weston died in the stables around midnight. You were seen near the terrace earlier, smoking. A cigar, you said, but perhaps a cigarette. Gold-tipped French? Langley's eyes narrowed, but he laughed. You're persistent, I'll give you that. I was in my room by 11 reading. No cigarettes, just a cigar on the terrace earlier. Ask anyone. Poirot produced the cigarette butt, wrapped in a handkerchief. This was found near the stables. You have interests in Paris, oui? Perhaps you acquired such cigarettes there? Langley's face hardened. I don't smoke those, and I haven't been to Paris in months. You're fishing, Poirot. Poirot's mustache twitched. Fishing, monsieur, often yields a catch. One last question. Sir Harold's notebook mentions VL as a threat. What did he know about you? Langley's grip on the cue tightened, but his voice was steady. Nothing. It's a coincidence, or someone's idea of a joke. I'm no traitor. Poirot nodded, bowing. We will see. Monsieur, merci. As he left, Poirot's mind churned. Langley's alibi was vague, his presence near the terrace suspicious. The notebook's mention of VL was too specific to dismiss. Was Langley the traitor or a scapegoat? Clara Beaumont was in the conservatory, sketching in a notebook, her navy dress blending with the shadows. She looked up as Poirot approached, her eyes anxious but resolute. Mademoiselle, Poirot said, bowing. Your observations have been most helpful. Let us speak of your alibi. The night Sir Harold died, you were near the window watching the garden. Last night you saw Philip in the stables. Where were you after 11? Clara's pencil paused, her voice soft. I was in my room, trying to sleep. I didn't go out. After seeing Philip, it scared me hearing them argue. Poirot leaned forward. And this argument, did you recognize the other voice? Was it Langley or Dubois, perhaps? She shook her head. I couldn't tell. It was low, angry. I didn't stay long. Poirot's eyes softened. You are brave, mademoiselle, to share this. One more question. Have you seen a woman with Sir Harold, perhaps in Paris? Someone close to him? Clara hesitated. No, but he mentioned a name once in passing. Marie. I don't know if it's important. Poirot's heart quickened. Marie, the woman in the photograph? Merci, mademoiselle. This is most valuable. If you recall anything else, you will tell me, oui? She nodded, and Poirot left, his mind buzzing. Clara's alibi was consistent, her sighting of Philip critical. The name Marie was a new thread, one he would follow. Poirot sought Etienne Dubois next, finding him in the garden, standing under an umbrella, his dark eyes fixed on the horizon. He turned as Poirot approached, his smile thin. Monsieur. Poirot, he said. You never tire, do you? What now? Poirot bowed, undeterred by the rain. Your alibi, Monsieur Dubois. The night Sir Harold died, you were with Lady Evelyn, you said. Last night you were seen in the garden with her again near the time Philip died. Can you confirm this? Dubois' eyes narrowed. I was in my room last night after 10. Whoever saw me is mistaken. As for Lady Evelyn, we spoke earlier about business, nothing more. Poirot produced the cigarette butt. This was found near the stables. French like yourself. You smoke, oui? Dubois' smile didn't waver. I do, but not those. You're determined to pin this on me, aren't you? Poirot's voice was calm but sharp. I pin nothing, monsieur, I seek the truth. Sir Harold suspected a traitor, and you were close to him through Lady Evelyn. What did you know? Dubois shrugged. Nothing. Sir Harold was a diplomat, full of secrets. If he had enemies, they weren't mine. Poirot nodded, bowing. Merci, monsieur. We will speak again. As Dubois walked away, Poirot's mind. Chapter 7. A dangerous liaison, the 6th day at Ashbourne Manor was shrouded in a mist that clung to the estate like a veil, softening the outlines of its grand facade but doing nothing to ease the tension within. Hercule Poirot stood in the conservatory, the air humid with the scent of orchids and damp earth, his sharp eyes fixed on the fountain where Clara Beaumont had found the 3rd gold-tipped cigarette. The discovery, coupled with the murders of Sir Harold Grayson and Philip, Weston tightened the noose around the traitor lurking among the manor's elite. Poirot's little gray cells were ablaze, weaving together the threads of evidence. The coded note, traitor in circle, secret sold meat Dover. The notebook fragment, circle must be broken. The photograph of the mysterious woman, the Dover train ticket, and now the mounting trail of foreign cigarettes. Each clue pointed to a conspiracy, but the traitor's identity remained elusive, hidden behind a mask of charm or deceit. The latest revelation from Lord Reginald, that Lady Evelyn Ashbourne had been seen whispering with Etienne Dubois in the Manor garden, and that she had burned an unsigned letter mentioning a deal, had shifted Poirot's focus. Lady Evelyn's shaky alibi, her connection to Paris, and her fierce defense of Dubois suggested a dangerous liaison, one that might hold the key to the murders. Clara's mention of a woman named Marie, possibly linked to the photograph, and Victor Langley's name in Sir Harold's notebook, VL suspects too much, added layers to the mystery. The alibis of the suspects were crumbling, and Poirot was determined to expose the truth by probing deeper into their secrets. He adjusted his bow tie, the gesture a ritual to sharpen his focus, and stepped out of the conservatory. The manor was under stricter lockdown, with Inspector Japp's men patrolling the grounds and the guests confined to common areas. The atmosphere was electric with fear, every glance and whisper charged with suspicion. Poirot's plan was to confront Clara, Beaumont again seeking more details about her sighting of Philip in the stables and the name Marie. Then he would press Etienne Dubois, whose calm demeanor and vague alibis made him a shadow at the heart of the case. As he crossed the grand hall, he spotted Inspector Japp near the staircase, his face etched with exhaustion. Japp was clutching a telegram, his expression grim. "Poirot," Japp said, waving him over. "Just got word from Scotland Yard. The poison's been traced to a Paris supplier used in espionage circles. Only a few buyers in the last year, and one name keeps popping. Etienne Dubois." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Most interesting, Inspector. And the cigarettes?" "Confirmed as a Parisian brand sold in exclusive clubs," Japp replied. "Dubois admitted to smoking, but claims they're not his. We're checking the others. Travel records for Paris connections." Poirot nodded. "The net tightens, mon ami. Dubois is a key, but we must also watch Lady Evelyn. Her meeting with him in the garden, the burned letter. These are not coincidences. I will speak with Mademoiselle Beaumont, then Dubois. Their stories will crack under pressure." Japp clapped him on the shoulder. "Keep at it, Poirot. I've got my hands full with the Yard breathing down my neck. If this is espionage, we're in deep." Poirot's mustache twitched. "Espionage, oui, but also betrayal. The traitor is personal as well as political. I will find them." Poirot found Clara Beaumont in the library, standing near the fireplace where Sir Harold's body had been found. Her navy dress was somber, her face pale, but her eyes held a quiet resolve as she turned to him. "Mademoiselle Beaumont," Poirot said, bowing, "you have been most helpful, and I must ask for your courage again. The cigarette you found in the conservatory, it is a vital clue. Tell me, when you saw Philip Weston in the stables arguing with someone, did you hear anything more? A name, perhaps, or a phrase?" Clara's fingers tightened on the book she held, her voice soft. "I've been thinking about it, Monsieur Poirot." The voice, the deeper one, it mentioned something about a delivery. I couldn't hear clearly, but it sounded urgent. And I think I heard the name Marie again. Poirot's heart quickened. "Marie, you say? This is most significant. Did Philip seem to know this person, or was he surprised?" Clara hesitated. "He sounded angry, but also afraid. Like he was confronting someone he didn't trust." Poirot leaned forward, his eyes piercing. "And this delivery, did it sound like a document or something else?" "I don't know," she admitted. "It was so quick and I was too far away. But Philip was pacing like he was trapped." Poirot nodded, his mind racing. "Merci. Mademoiselle, now let us speak of your movements last night. You were in the conservatory, oui? Did you see anyone else there, perhaps smoking?" Clara shook her head. "No, I was alone. I found the cigarette near the fountain, half hidden under a leaf. It was still warm, like someone had just dropped it." Poirot's eyes narrowed. "Warm, you say? This is crucial. The traitor is careless, mademoiselle. One last question. This. Marie, did Sir Harold ever describe her? A friend, a colleague, perhaps?" Clara frowned, thinking. "He only mentioned her once in passing. He said she was complicated. I thought it was a romantic thing, but now I'm not sure." Poirot's smile was gentle. "You have done well, mademoiselle. If you recall anything else, you will tell me, compris?" She nodded, and Poirot left, his thoughts swirling. The name Marie was no coincidence. It matched the woman in the photograph, and her connection to Sir Harold was becoming central. The delivery Philip mentioned suggested a transaction, perhaps the secrets sold by the traitor. Clara's sighting of the warm cigarette meant the killer had been in the conservatory recently, possibly watching her. Poirot sought Etienne Dubois next, finding him in the garden, standing under a dripping oak, his dark coat blending with the mist. His eyes were unreadable as Poirot approached, his smile thin but polite. "Monsieur Dubois," Poirot said, bowing. "You are fond of solitude, it seems. Yet you were not alone in the garden last night with Lady Evelyn. What did you discuss? And why does she protect you so fiercely?" Dubois' smile didn't waver. "You're persistent, Monsieur Poirot. Lady Evelyn and I spoke of business, investments, nothing more. She's a friend, nothing scandalous." Poirot's eyes sharpened. "And yet, monsieur, a letter she burned mentioned a deal. In Paris, perhaps? The same city where the poison that killed Sir Harold and Philip was sourced, and these—" He produced the handkerchief with the cigarette butt. "Found near both crime scenes and now in the conservatory. You smoke, oui?" Dubois' eyes flicked to the cigarette, then back to Poirot. "I've told you, not my brand. As for Paris, I travel there often, as do many. You're building a case on air, Monsieur Poirot." Poirot's voice was calm but relentless. "Air, monsieur, can carry a scent. The scent of treason, perhaps. Sir Harold suspected a traitor and Philip knew too much. Were you the delivery they spoke of?" Dubois' smile faded, his voice cold. "You're overreaching, Poirot. I'm a businessman, not a spy. If you have proof, show it." Poirot's mustache twitched. "Proof, monsieur, is like a shadow. It follows the truth. One last question. Do you know a woman named Marie, connected to Sir Harold?" Dubois' expression didn't change, but his fingers twitched. "Marie? A common name. I know many. You'll need more than that." Poirot nodded, bowing. "Merci, monsieur. We will see." As Dubois walked away, Poirot's mind raced. Dubois' calm was a mask, his denial of the cigarette too quick. The mention of Marie had provoked a reaction, however slight. Was he the man in the dark coat, or was he protecting someone else? Poirot returned to the manor, seeking Victor Langley. He found him in the billiard room, practicing shots with a forced casualness. Langley's blonde hair was slightly disheveled, his smile strained as Poirot entered. "Monsieur Poirot," he said, setting down his cue. "You're like a bloodhound, aren't you? What now?" Poirot's expression was firm. "Your alibi, Monsieur Langley, is thin. The night Philip died, you were seen near the terrace, smoking. A cigarette, perhaps, like this one?" He held up the conservatory cigarette. Langley's eyes narrowed. "I told you, I smoke cigars, and I was in my room by 11. You're chasing ghosts, Poirot." Poirot leaned forward. "Ghosts, no. Traitors, oui. Sir Harold's notebook names VL as a threat. Philip heard you argue with him about a delivery." "What was it, monsieur?" Langley's face hardened. "You're fishing again. I don't know any delivery. Sir Harold was paranoid and Philip was a nervous wreck. Maybe they got themselves killed." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Or maybe, monsieur, you ensured their silence." "Do you know a woman named Marie?" Langley laughed, but it was forced. "Marie? Half the women in Paris are named Marie. You're grasping, Poirot." Poirot nodded, bowing. "We will see, monsieur. Merci." As he left, Poirot's mind churned. Langley's denial was too vehement, his alibi too vague. The delivery and Marie were threads tying him to the conspiracy, but the evidence was still circumstantial. Poirot sought Lady Evelyn again, finding her in the morning room, writing letters. Her face was pale, her hands trembling slightly, as she looked up. "Madame," Poirot said, sitting opposite her. "We must speak plainly. Your alibi for Philip's death is contradicted by witnesses. You were in the garden with Dubois, discussing a deal. A letter you burned mentioned it. What was this deal, and how does it connect to Sir Harold?" Lady Evelyn's eyes widened, her voice sharp. "You're accusing me, Monsieur Poirot. I was in my room, as I said. The letter was personal, nothing to do with Sir Tiher in Paris." Chapter 8. The hidden room. The seventh day at Ashbourne Manor unfolded under a sky bruised with storm clouds, the air thick with the promise of rain. Inside, the atmosphere was equally charged, a cauldron of fear and suspicion simmering among the guests. Hercule Poirot stood in the grand hall, his polished shoes gleaming against the marble floor, his sharp eyes scanning the ornate ceiling as if it might reveal the secrets buried within the estate's walls. The murders of Sir Harold Grayson and Philip Weston had cast a long shadow, and the web of clues, the coded note, Traitor in Circle, Secrets Sold Meet Dover, the notebook fragment, Circle Must Be Broken, the gold-tipped cigarettes, the Dover train ticket, and the photograph of the mysterious woman named Marie, pointed to a traitor moving with deadly precision. Poirot's little gray cells were relentless, piecing together the puzzle with a clarity that grew sharper with each revelation. The latest thread, Lady Evelyn Ashbourne's dangerous liaison with Etienne Dubois, her burned letter mentioning a deal and her reaction to the name Marie, had deepened Poirot's suspicion. Sir Harold's notebook, with its cryptic references to VL, Victor Langley, and EA, Evelyn Ashbourne, suggested a conspiracy rooted in Paris, where the poison and cigarettes originated. Clara Beaumont's sightings of shadowy figures and her mention of a delivery overheard in Philip's argument added urgency to the chase. Yet the alibis of the suspects, Lady Evelyn, Dubois, Langley, and even Clara, were riddled with inconsistencies, a game of deception that Poirot was determined to end. Today, his focus was on the manor itself. The missing book from the library shelf, the scuff marks at both crime scenes, and the possibility of hidden spaces within the estate nagged at him. Old houses like Ashbourne Manor often held secrets, concealed rooms, passages, or caches where evidence might be hidden. Poirot resolved to search for such a place, hoping it would yield the proof needed to unmask the traitor. He also planned to confront Dubois again, pressing him on his Paris connections and the cigarettes, and to re-examine Clara's account for any overlooked details. Inspector Japp intercepted him in the hall, his face drawn from sleepless nights. "Poirot," he said, clutching a file, "we've got something. The Paris supplier confirmed Dubois ordered the poison 6 months ago under an alias. He's our man, or damn close." Poirot's mustache twitched. "A significant step, Inspector, but not proof. Dubois is cunning, and Lady Evelyn's involvement cannot be ignored. Have you traced the cigarettes further?" Japp nodded. "They're sold at a club in Paris, one Dubois frequents. We're checking if Langley or Lady Evelyn visited it, so. Also the Dover connection. Sir Harold's bank records show a payment to a contact there codenamed M. Could be Marie." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Marie, oui. She is the key, I think. I will search the manor for hidden spaces, Inspector. The traitor may have left evidence behind. And I will speak with Dubois and Mademoiselle Beaumont again. Their lies are fraying." Japp sighed. "Be careful, Poirot. This killer's desperate, and the Yard's pushing for an arrest. If Dubois is our man, we need hard evidence." "Evidence, mon ami, is what I seek," Poirot said. "The hidden room, if it exists, may hold it." Poirot began his search in the library, where Sir Harold's body had been found. The room was sealed, but Japp had granted him access. The scuff on the rug, the decanter's bitter odor, and the missing book still intrigued him. He moved to the bookshelf, running his gloved fingers along the spines. The gap where the book was missing was in a section on espionage, a clue to the traitor's interests. He tapped the shelf, listening for hollow sounds, but found nothing. Undeterred, he examined the paneling behind the shelf, pressing gently. A faint click sounded, and a section of the wall shifted, revealing a narrow seam. Poirot's heart quickened. He pushed and the panel swung inward, exposing a dark, musty passage. He lit a small flashlight from his pocket, its beam cutting through the gloom. The passage was narrow, its walls lined with damp stone, leading to a small room no larger than a closet. Inside was a wooden desk, a locked metal box, and a stack of papers. The air was stale, heavy with the scent of old ink and secrets. He approached the desk, his flashlight illuminating the papers. They were letters, written in French, discussing trade routes and diplomatic negotiations. One mentioned a circle of trust, echoing Sir Harold's notebook, and another referenced a delivery to Dover. Poirot's pulse raced. These were the documents Philip had hinted at, proof of the traitor's dealings. He opened the metal box with a hairpin, revealing a ledger listing payments to a contact named M. The amounts were staggering, tied to dates in Paris and Dover. Among the papers was a photograph, identical to the one in Poirot's pocket, showing Sir Harold with a woman on a Paris balcony. On the back, in Sir Harold's handwriting, was a single word, Marie. Poirot slipped it into his pocket, his mind buzzing. The hidden room was a treasure trove, confirming the conspiracy, and Marie's role. But who was she, and how did she connect to the suspects? He searched further, finding a single gold-tipped cigarette butt on the floor, half crushed. It matched the others, a careless mistake by the traitor. Poirot wrapped it carefully, his thoughts racing. The room was a nerve center, used by someone, with access to the manor. Lady Evelyn, Dubois, or another. As he prepared to leave, he heard a faint creak in the passage. He doused his flashlight, pressing himself against the wall. Footsteps approached, slow and deliberate. A figure entered, their silhouette tall and lean, a dark coat brushing the floor. Poirot held his breath, his hand tightening on his cane. The figure paused, as if sensing something, then retreated, their steps fading. Poirot exhaled, his heart pounding. The man in the dark coat, Dubois perhaps, or the mysterious stranger Clara had seen. He waited a moment, then slipped out, sealing the panel behind him. The hidden room was a breakthrough, but it was also dangerous. The traitor knew it existed, and they were watching. Poirot found Clara Beaumont in the conservatory, sketching, the fountain where she'd found the cigarette. Her navy dress was somber, her face pale but composed. She looked up as he approached, her eyes wary. "Mademoiselle," Poirot said, bowing. "You have been most observant, and I need your clarity." Again, the name Marie. "You said Sir Harold mentioned her. Can you recall anything more? A description, perhaps, or a place?" Clara set down her pencil, her voice soft. "I've been thinking, Monsieur Poirot. He said Marie was someone he trusted, but she was complicated. He mentioned a café in Paris, Le Cygne Noir. I think they met there." Poirot's eyes sharpened. "Le Cygne Noir, you say? This is most valuable. And the argument you overheard in the stables, did Philip mention Marie again?" Clara nodded. "Yes, I think so. He said something like, 'Marie can't be trusted.'" The other voice laughed like it was a joke. Poirot leaned forward. "And this other voice, could it have been Monsieur Dubois?" Clara hesitated. "I'm not sure. It was deep, but Dubois' voice is smoother, isn't it?" This was rougher, angrier. Poirot's mind raced. A rougher voice. Langley, perhaps, or another man in the manor. "Merci, mademoiselle. One last question. Have you seen anyone near the library recently? Perhaps acting strangely?" Clara frowned. "Yesterday I saw Dubois near the library door looking around. I thought he was just curious, but now—" Poirot's mustache twitched. "You have done well, mademoiselle. Say nothing of this, compris?" She nodded, and Poirot left, his thoughts swirling. Clara's account placed Dubois near the library, possibly accessing the hidden room. The mention of Le Cygne Noir was a new lead, tying Marie to Paris and the conspiracy. Poirot sought Etienne Dubois next, finding him in the drawing room, reading a newspaper with a detached air. His dark eyes flicked up as Poirot entered, his smile thin. "Monsieur Poirot," he said, folding the paper. "You're like a shadow always following. What now?" Poirot sat opposite, his expression calm but piercing. "The truth, Monsieur Dubois. I have found evidence, documents, payments, a cigarette like those at the crime scenes. They point to Paris, to a woman named Marie, and to you. What was your deal with Lady Evelyn, and how does it involve Le Cygne Noir?" Dubois' smile faded, his eyes narrowing. "You're bold, Poirot. I don't know any Marie, and Le Cygne Noir is just a café I visit sometimes. As for Lady Evelyn, we discussed investments, as I've said. You have no proof. Poirot produced the cigarette butt from the hidden room. This was found in a place you know, monsieur. The poison that killed Sir Harold and Philip was ordered by you under an alias. Shall I continue? Dubois' fingers twitched, but his voice was steady. You're bluffing, Poirot. Those cigarettes are common in Paris, and the poison... Anyone could use an alias. You're trying to trap me. Poirot's voice was soft, but relentless. Traps, monsieur. Catch those who run. Sir Harold suspected a traitor, and Philip knew too much. Were you in the garden with Lady Evelyn discussing the delivery Philip overheard? Dubois stood, his voice cold. You're overstepping, Poirot. I'm no traitor. If you have evidence, arrest me. Otherwise, leave me alone. Poirot rose, bowing. We will see, monsieur. Merci. As Dubois left, Poirot's mind churned. Dubois' denial was too calm, his reaction to Le Cygne Noir too controlled. He knew more than he admitted, and his connection to Lady Evelyn was a dangerous thread. Poirot sought Lady Evelyn next, finding her in the morning room, staring out at the rain. Her burgundy dress was elegant, but her face... Chapter 9. The trap is set. The 8th day at Ashbourne Manor dawned with a restless wind that rattled the windows, as if urging the secrets within to break free. Hercule Poirot stood in the grand hall, his gloved hands clasped behind his back, his sharp eyes fixed on the ornate chandelier above. The murders of Sir Harold Grayson and Philip Weston had turned the estate into a labyrinth of deceit, and the clues uncovered in the hidden room, letters, a ledger, a photograph of a woman, named Marie, and yet another gold-tipped cigarette butt, had brought Poirot closer to unmasking the traitor. The coded note, traitor in circle, secret sold meat Dover. The notebook fragment, circle must be broken. The Dover train ticket, and the ornate key found taped under the desk were pieces of a puzzle that pointed to a conspiracy, rooted in high society, with threads stretching to Paris and Dover. Yet the suspects, Lady Evelyn Ashbourne, Etienne Dubois, Victor Langley, and Clara Beaumont, remained elusive, their alibis fraying but not yet torn. Poirot's little gray cells were alight with strategy. The hidden room had confirmed the traitor's dealings. Payments to M, likely Marie, a delivery tied to Dover, and a circle of trust that Sir Harold had sought to dismantle. Lady Evelyn's whispered liaison with Dubois, her burned letter about a deal, and her reaction to Marie's name suggested she was entangled in the plot. Dubois' connection to the poison and his presence near the crime scenes made him a prime suspect, while Langley's name in Sir Harold's notebook, VL suspects too much, and his vague alibis hinted at guilt. Clara's sightings of shadowy figures and her mention of Le Cygne Noir Café in Paris were valuable, but her own role remained unclear. The figure in the dark coat, seen twice in the hidden room's passage, was a specter haunting the case, possibly Dubois or an unknown player. Today Poirot resolved to set a trap. The traitor was growing desperate, as evidenced by Philip's murder and the careless cigarette butts. By staging a fake diplomatic meeting, Poirot hoped to lure the killer into action, forcing them to reveal themselves. He would plant a rumor that a critical document, evidence of the traitor's dealings, had been found and would be handed over to Scotland Yard tonight. The bait would be irresistible, and the Manor's guests would be watched closely for any slip. Inspector Japp met Poirot in the study, his face etched with strain. "Morning, Poirot," he said, clutching a telegram. The Yard's confirmed. Dubois' alias was used to buy the poison, and they've linked him to Le Cygne Noir. Lady Evelyn was spotted there too 3 months ago. We're close, but we need proof. Poirot's mustache twitched. Proof, Inspector, is what we shall have. I propose a trap, a false meeting to discuss a document that threatens the traitor. We will say it was found in Sir Harold's room, detailing their dealings with Marie. The killer will act and we will catch them. Japp's eyes widened. Risky, Poirot, but clever. How do we spread the word? Poirot smiled faintly. Discreetly, mon ami. I will confide in Lord Reginald, knowing he will tell Lady Evelyn. You will mention it to a servant, ensuring it reaches the others. We will watch the library tonight, where the meeting will supposedly take place. Japp nodded. I'll post men in the shadows. What about that key you found? Any luck? Poirot produced the ornate key, its filigree glinting. Not yet, but I suspect it opens a safe, perhaps in the hidden room or elsewhere. I will search again today. And the cigarettes? Any new leads? Still tracing the buyers, Jap said. The club in Paris says Dubois is a regular, but Langley was there last year. Clara's never been, far as we know. Poirot's eyes gleamed. The trap will flush them out, Inspector. Prepare your men, and I will set the stage. Poirot began by speaking with Lord Reginald, finding him in the morning room staring at a chessboard with unseeing eyes. His broad shoulders were slumped, his face pale with worry. Monsieur Poirot, Reginald said, looking up. Any progress? Evelyn's a wreck, and I'm at my wit's end. Poirot sat opposite, his voice low. Progress, we, Lord Ashbourne. We have found a document in Sir Harold's room, a list of payments to a traitor codenamed M. It will be discussed tonight in the library, with Scotland Yard. I trust you will keep this confidential. Reginald's eyes widened. Of course, Poirot, my God, a traitor? Here? Poirot nodded gravely. Say nothing, especially to Lady Evelyn. Her connection to Dubois concerns me. Reginald swallowed, nodding. I understand. I won't breathe a word. Poirot left, knowing Reginald's loyalty to his wife would ensure the rumor spread. He then moved to the library, where Clara Beaumont was reading, her navy dress blending with the shadows. Her face was pale, but her eyes were alert as she looked. Up, mademoiselle, Poirot said, bowing. A word, s'il vous plaît. The name Marie, you said Sir Harold met her at Le Cygne Noir. Have you recalled anything more? A detail perhaps about their relationship? Clara set down her book, her voice soft. I've been thinking, Monsieur Poirot. Sir Harold said Marie was someone he loved, but she betrayed him. He sounded heartbroken. I don't know if it helps. Poirot's heart quickened. It helps greatly, mademoiselle. Betrayal is a powerful motive. Now, a delicate matter. Tonight, a meeting will occur in this library to discuss evidence against the traitor. If you hear anything, you will tell me, oui? Clara's eyes widened. A meeting? Here? I'll keep my ears open. Poirot nodded, his smile gentle. Merci, mademoiselle. You are most brave. As he left, he noted Clara's nervousness. Was it fear or something else? He had planted the seed, and now he would watch it grow. Next, Poirot sought Etienne Dubois, finding him in the garden, standing under a dripping yew tree, his dark coat glistening with mist. His eyes were unreadable. As Poirot approached, his smile thinned. Monsieur Poirot, Dubois said, lighting a cigarette, not gold-tipped, Poirot noted. You're tireless, aren't you? What now? Poirot bowed, his voice calm but piercing. A development, Monsieur Dubois. A document has been found detailing payments to a traitor named M. It mentions Le Cygne Noir, where you and Lady Evelyn were seen. Tonight it will be discussed in the library. What do you know of this? Dubois' smile didn't waver, but his fingers tightened on the cigarette. You're clever, Poirot, but you're wrong. I know no M. As for the cafe, it's a popular spot. You're building a house of cards. Poirot's eyes narrowed. Cards, monsieur, can cut when they fall. The poison you bought, the cigarettes found at the crime scenes, they point to you. Were you in the hidden room, accessing the traitor's documents? Dubois' eyes flickered, but his voice was steady. Hidden room? You're full of surprises, Poirot. I've no idea what you mean. If you have proof, use it. Poirot produced the key. This was found with those documents. Does it look familiar? Dubois' expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. Never seen it. You're wasting my time. Poirot nodded, bowing. We will see, monsieur. Merci. As Dubois walked away, Poirot's mind raced. Dubois' reaction to the key was subtle, but telling. He knew more than he admitted, and the trap would force his hand. Poirot sought Victor Langley next, finding him in the billiard room, practicing shots with a tense focus. His blonde hair was disheveled, his smile strained as Poirot entered. Monsieur Poirot, Langley said, setting down his cue. You're like a bad penny, turning up everywhere. What's it now? Poirot's expression was firm. A document. Monsieur Langley found in Sir Harold's room. It names a traitor M and mentions payments tied to Dover. Your name, VL, is in his notebook. Tonight, this document will be discussed in the library. What do you know? Langley's face hardened, his voice sharp. You're barking up the wrong tree, Poirot. I don't know any M, and I've never been to Dover. Sir Harold was paranoid, and you're falling for it. Poirot leaned forward. Paranoia, monsieur, does not kill. Philip heard you argue about a delivery. Was it the secrets you sold? Langley laughed, but it was forced. You're desperate, Poirot. I'm no traitor. Check my records. I'm clean. Poirot's mustache twitched. Clean, monsieur? We shall see. Do you know Le Cygne Noir? Langley's eyes flickered. Heard of it? Never been. You're grasping. Poirot nodded, bowing. Merci, monsieur. As he left, Poirot's mind churned. Langley's denial was too vehement, his reaction to Le Cygne Noir suspicious. The trap was set, and he would watch closely. Poirot sought Lady Evelyn last, finding her in the morning room writing letters with a trembling hand. Her burgundy dress was elegant, but her face was pale, her eyes red-rimmed. Madame, Poirot said, sitting opposite. A critical moment approaches. A document has been found, exposing a traitor named M. It will be discussed tonight, in the library. You know Marie, oui? And the deal you burned a letter about? Lady Evelyn's hand froze, her voice breaking. You're relentless, Monsieur Poirot. I don't know any Marie. And the letter was personal. I've told you, everything. Poirot's voice was soft but unyielding. Everything, madame? You were in Le Cygne Noir, with Dubois. Sir Harold's notebook names E.A. as a danger. What was your deal with the traitor? Her face paled, her hands shaking. You're wrong. I'm no traitor. Leave me alone. Poirot rose, bowing. The truth, madame, cannot be avoided. Merci. As she turned away, Poirot's heart raced. Lady Evelyn was terrified, her denial a crumbling wall. The trap would force her to act, or reveal her protector. That afternoon, Poirot returned to the hidden room, searching for a safe the key might open. He tapped the walls, listening for hollow sounds, and found a panel behind the co. Chapter 10. Betrayal's Sting. The 9th day at Ashbourne Manor was cloaked in a drizzle that blurred the estate's grand outlines, as if nature sought to obscure the treachery within. Hercule Poirot stood in the library, where the trap he had set the previous night had snared Victor Langley, caught attempting to steal a decoy document. The room was still, its heavy oak shelves and flickering fireplace a silent witness to the drama that had unfolded. Langley was now under guard in a guest room, his defiant laughter echoing in Poirot's mind. Yet the detective's little gray cells were far from satisfied. The letter found in the hidden room's safe, detailing a plan to sell British trade secrets, signed M, and mentioning E.A., Lady Evelyn Ashbourne, and V.L., Victor Langley, suggested a broader conspiracy. Was Langley the traitor, or a pawn in a larger game? The coded note, traitor in circle, secrets sold, meet Dover. The notebook fragment, circle, must be broken. The gold-tipped cigarettes, the Dover train ticket, and the photograph of a woman named Marie formed a web of clues pointing to a traitor in high society. Lady Evelyn's liaison with Etienne Dubois, her burned letter about a deal, and her reaction to Marie's name kept her under suspicion. Dubois' ties to the Poison and Le Cygne Noir Café in Paris, combined with his elusive alibis, made him a shadow at the case's heart. Clara Beaumont's sightings of shadowy figures and her mention of a delivery in Philip Weston's argument added layers, but her own role remained unclear. The figure in the dark coat, seen in the hidden room's passage, haunted Poirot's thoughts. Dubois, Langley, or another. The sting of betrayal was sharpest now as Poirot uncovered a shocking twist, forged evidence implicating his old friend, Captain Arthur Hastings, who had arrived at the manor 2 days ago to assist. A note in Hastings' room, written in a hand mimicking Sir Harold's, claimed he was part of the circle. Poirot refused to believe it, sensing a frame-up to distract him. The traitor was desperate, and Poirot resolved to clear Hastings' name while tightening the net around the true culprit. Today, he would interrogate Langley, confront Dubois and Lady Evelyn, and search for the safe's contents, hoping to find the final piece of evidence. Inspector Japp met Poirot in the study, his face grim. "Morning, Poirot," he said, clutching a file. "Langley's not talking, but we found a gold-tipped cigarette in his room, matches the others. He's looking guilty, but this business with Hastings, what's that about?" Poirot's mustache twitched. "A cruel trick, Inspector. The note against Hastings is a forgery meant to divert us. The traitor knows we are close. The letter from the safe names EA and VL, but M, Marie, is the key. We must focus on Lady Evelyn and Dubois, and I will question Langley to break his silence." Japp nodded. "We've got more on the poison. Dubois' alias was used again for a shipment to Dover. And the ledger from the hidden room shows payments to M from a Paris bank account linked to Lady Evelyn." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "The threads converge, mon ami. I will search for more evidence today, and we must watch the suspects closely. The sting of betrayal is sharp, but it will lead us to the truth." Japp sighed. "I've got men on them all, including Hastings, till we're sure. Be careful, Poirot." Poirot's expression was firm. "Care, Inspector, is my shield. Let us proceed." Poirot began with Victor Langley, escorted to the study under guard. Langley's blonde hair was disheveled, his charm replaced by a sullen defiance. He sat, crossing his arms, his eyes cold. "Monsieur Langley," Poirot said, his voice calm, but piercing. "You were caught stealing a document, believing it exposed the traitor. Your name is in Sir Harold's notebook, and a cigarette like those at the crime scenes was found in your room. Why did you act? And who is Marie?" Langley laughed a harsh sound. "You're grasping, Poirot. I took the document to protect myself. Someone's framing me. Those cigarettes aren't mine. And Marie? Never heard of her." Poirot leaned forward, producing the letter from the safe. "This letter, monsieur, names VL, in a plan to sell secrets. You argued with Sir Harold about a delivery overheard by Philip Weston. Why did you try to steal the document?" Langley's eyes flickered, but his voice was steady. "You're bluffing. That letter's nonsense. I'm a businessman, not a spy. Check my accounts. I've no foreign payments." Poirot's eyes narrowed. "And the hidden room, monsieur? You were seen there, in a dark coat. What were you seeking?" Langley's face hardened. "Hidden room? You're mad, Poirot. I've never been there." Poirot produced the cigarette butt. "This was in your room, the same brand found at the murders. Explain, s'il vous plaît." Langley's jaw tightened. "Planted. Someone's setting me up. Dubois, maybe, or Evelyn. They're the ones with secrets." Poirot's mustache twitched. "Secrets, oui. But yours are unraveling. One last question. Why frame Captain Hastings?" Langley's eyes widened, a flicker of surprise. "Hastings? I don't know what you're talking about." Poirot nodded, signaling the guard. "We will see, monsieur. Merci." As Langley was led away, Poirot's mind raced. Langley's denial was fierce, but his surprise at Hastings's name seemed genuine. Was he a pawn or a liar? The cigarette in his room was damning, but possibly planted, as he claimed. Poirot sought Etienne Dubois next, finding him in the drawing room, sipping coffee with a detached air. His dark eyes met Poirot's, his smile thin. "Monsieur Poirot," Dubois said, setting down his cup. "You caught Langley, yet you still pursue me. Why?" Poirot sat opposite, his voice sharp. "Because, Monsieur Dubois, the letter from the hidden room names EA and VL. But the payments go to M, and you know Marie. The poison was bought under your alias, and you were seen in the hidden room's passage. Why did you not act last night?" Dubois' smile didn't waver. "You're clever, Poirot, but wrong. I know no Marie, and I wasn't in any passage. As for the poison, anyone can use an alias. I stayed in my room last night, avoiding your trap." Poirot produced the cigarette butt from the hidden room. "This was found where you were seen. You smoke, oui? And Le Cygne Noir. You met Marie there with Lady Evelyn." Dubois' fingers twitched, but his voice was steady. "Not my brand, as I've said. Le Cygne Noir is a café, nothing more. You're building a case on shadows. Poirot leaned forward. Shadows, monsieur, cast by the truth. Why frame Captain Hastings? Dubois' eyes narrowed, a flicker of surprise. Hastings? I've no interest in him. You're fishing, Poirot. Poirot nodded, rising. Fishing, monsieur, yields results. Merci. As Dubois resumed his coffee, Poirot's mind churned. Dubois' calm was unnerving, his surprise at Hastings' name calculated. He knew more than he admitted, and his ties to Lady Evelyn were critical. Poirot sought Lady Evelyn next, finding her in the conservatory, staring at the fountain where Clara found the cigarette. Her burgundy dress was somber, her face pale with, Strain, madame, Poirot said, sitting opposite. The trap caught Langley, but the letter names you E.A. in a deal with M. You know Marie, and you burned a letter about a deal. Why frame Captain Hastings? Lady Evelyn's hands trembled, her voice breaking. Hastings, I don't know what you mean. I'm no traitor, Monsieur Poirot. The letter was personal, and I don't know any Marie. Poirot's voice was soft, but relentless. Personal. Madame, you were in Le Cygne Noir with Dubois. Sir Harold's notebook names you as a danger. Why protect Dubois? Her eyes widened, tears brimming. I'm not protecting him. I can't explain. You're wrong about me. Poirot produced the photograph. This is Marie, oui? You met her in Paris with Sir Harold. Lady Evelyn's face paled, her voice a whisper. I don't know her. Please leave me alone. Poirot rose, bowing. The truth, madame, will not wait. Merci. As she turned away, Poirot's heart raced. Lady Evelyn was breaking, her denial a crumbling shield. The photograph had struck a nerve, and her fear suggested guilt or coercion. Poirot sought Clara Beaumont next, finding her in the library, sketching nervously. Her navy dress blended with the shadows, her eyes anxious as she looked up. Mademoiselle, Poirot said, bowing. You have been brave, but I need more. The trap caught Langley, but someone framed Captain Hastings. Did you see anyone near his room or hear anything about Marie? Clara's pencil paused, her voice soft. I saw Dubois near the guest rooms yesterday, late. He was carrying something, maybe papers. And Marie, Philip mentioned her in the stables, saying she betrayed Sir Harold. Poirot's eyes sharpened. Dubois, you say? This is crucial, and Marie's betrayal, did Philip say how? Clara shook her head. No, just that she couldn't be trusted. I'm sorry, it's all so vague. Poirot's smile was gentle. Vague, mademoiselle, is better than nothing. One last question. Did you see the figure in the dark coat again? Clara hesitated. Not exactly, but last night near the library I saw a shadow. I thought it was Langley, but now I'm not sure. Poirot nodded, his mind buzzing. Merci, mademoiselle. You have helped greatly. As he left, Poirot's thoughts swirled. Clara's sighting of Dubois near the guest room suggested he planted the note against Hastings. The shadow near the library could be the figure in the dark coat watching the trap. That afternoon, Poirot returned to the hidden room, searching for more evidence. He tapped the walls, finding another panel behind the safe. It opened to reveal a small cache, a forged passport in Hastings' name, a vial of the poison, and a note in the same hand as the Sioux.